Hello and welcome to Todd Rolls Dice, where I'm on camera again. That can only mean one thing: we're having a serious discussion about price. Well, not a price increase this time, which is good news, although that will be a factor into what we're talking about. My Warhammer Plus renewal is due in 3 days at time of recording, and hopefully release. Hopefully it's going to release tonight. So my question for this video and my thought process is Warhammer TV Plus, or Warhammer Plus, worth it for me? You will have a totally different argument and a totally different take if you're a Warhammer Plus subscriber. I'd love to know what it is that keeps you subscribed, or if you're not subscribed, what do they need to do, what do they need to add to make it worth you looking into? So I subscribed last year. I've only been subscribed for 1 year. I thought the first 3 years, while the miniatures were really nice, in fact the Kazakin one I missed out on, thankfully a friend of mine did manage to order one and I bought it off him. But I felt that after 3 years and after the amount of animated content and the content on there would be enough for me to justify that 1 year of Warhammer TV Plus. Within about 3 weeks, I had binge watched the entire content of their animations, bar one series that I can remember. Which, and I'm just looking at a list of the series on this other screen here, which isn't good. Let's put it that way. But there's a lot more going on with Warhammer Plus, which I'll try and call it its proper name. So I've made up my mind and my verdict is on the final slide, and we'll run through that together and you will agree or disagree. You probably have your own takes as we go through this. I was actually surprised doing the research for this because I didn't realize how much they'd actually released. The question is, how much of that content has been worth the money? So how about we get into this one, and this is just me giving you my honest personal opinion on my 1 year of Warhammer Plus. And off the back of that, do I think it's worth it for another year? So, Warhammer Plus, more Warhammer more often. I mean, they're constantly adding bits, and it's not often, but they are getting stuff. But it is exclusive shows, animations, archives, apps, and more. We are going to break down each bit, but the main thing about this slide is that it's $5.99 a month, Great British pounds. It will vary in your local currency if it is available in your country. There are quite a few countries where it is not available. That's not good when you have a streaming service, is it? But it is $49.99 for the year, so that's quite a saving there. In fact, you are saving £21.89 by subscribing for the year. So definitely worth subscribing if you want it for that year. But this is what you get. So the first thing that they hit you with, animation. An ever-growing collection of original Warhammer animations with stories covering the mortal realms, the 41st millennium and more. Featuring beloved characters and brand new heroes. I'll question that point and see Warhammer brought to life like never before. So I'm not going to go through all of the points for all of these, but the animations is the big one, because the animations, I think, is why probably 95% of people that would be interested in subscribing or are subscribed, I think that's the reason that they're subscribed or would be interested in. There's no other real reason here. To be honest, it is the animations that do it. We will talk about the animations as we get in, but if you subscribe, you get access to all these animations, all of the previous ones plus anything new. Sounds pretty good, right? The 40k app and the Age of Sigmar app. So these apps are nearly identical. I think that they're really useful. I know there's probably better apps and people have free versions that they want to use out there. I will always caveat this with, I think that rules should be free and available digitally. I think these apps should be free, and I think all of the rules, all of the information in them should be free. downside with these apps is you need to buy the codex to use the digital unlock code to get access to the army rules. So having this app and having a Warhammer Plus subscription does not give you all the rules. I think that is a grave error on their part, and I think, honestly, as good as the apps are, still locking the rules when new codexes, when new battle tomes come out, behind the paywall, and not only that, but wiping all of the index rules when the codexes and things come out, I think is ridiculous, and I'm against that completely. I want to get that point out. But honestly, both of those apps are my go-to for checking rules, for looking at updates, for building armies. They are really the sole apps that I use. I fell out with Battlescribe. I never really enjoyed building an army in there. This one, it might just be the flair and seeing the actual pictures and things and just how it's laid out. It's more pleasing to me. Not going to be for everyone, and I think most people probably don't use these apps. But I find them both very useful, and on balance, I think they've done a good job, aside from locking them both behind buying codexes and battle tomes and behind the subscription paywall. I think as an app, the functionality is basic but pretty good. TV shows. This is their original TV shows with their Warhammer TV presenters. Yeah, we'll talk about them later. There's a lot of content that they put out. I'm not sure it's a selling point. There's many alternatives that you can watch for free on YouTube. Let me put it that way. Exclusive miniatures, we will take a look at the Year 5 miniatures and I will show you which Year 4 miniature I picked up. But miniatures generally are stunning. Absolutely stunning. This year, when we'll talk about this when we get to the miniatures, this year they're a little bit more locked into the diorama piece, which looks great, and for painters it's fantastic, but for gaming with, you will need to rebase, I think. But we'll talk about that when we get to the miniatures. Save money on merch. Subscribers apparently get a 15% discount code for merch.warhammer.com every month. I didn't even know that was a thing. I've been subscribed for a year and I didn't know that existed. That's how poorly advertised that has been. Subscriber giveaways. Apparently there's constant subscriber giveaways. I have no idea how to enter them. I don't think I'm ever entered into them automatically. The problem with this is it's all done by email. So if you don't check your emails regularly, and it's not an email that's connected to any of my channels, completely private email, so I tend to forget about it. That's a me problem. But the way that that's handled, I think, is pretty poor, and that's a conversation that we'll get to towards the pros and cons section of this video. And the Warhammer Vault. So the Warhammer Vault is a selection, it's not a whole host, a selection of basically Warhammer lore. From books, magazines, it has campaign books, quite a lot of them. It has Imperial Armor books, just the lore, no rules. All the rules and I think scenarios have been stripped out of these. It also has a selection of classic and some more modern White Dwarf magazines, but the selection honestly is lacking in quite a way. It jumps about years and months. Going into Year 5, if they're going to do something with the vault, and accessibility is a problem here as well, but if they're going to do something with the vault, they really need to put all of the campaign books and all of the previous White Dwarfs, everything that isn't from the current editions of their game. I'd argue they should be in there too, but up to the current editions of their games should all be in there by now. So that's a bit of a con before we get into it, but the Warhammer Vault is there, and having found it today, again, over a year in my subscription, coming up to renewal of my subscription actually, and looking at the benefits for this video, Their signposting for this stuff is garbage. What do you expect? But actually, there is a whole host of stuff in there that I would have probably found interesting over the last 12 months. Let's continue. First, let's look at the shiny new models. So I have put an approximate price of £26 GBP on these, because that's what the current ones are. We know there's a price increase. That price increase will take them to, adding on the 4%, just over £27, 10 pence. It's not going to be that, let's be honest. It'll go up to 27.50 or something weird. Or it might even stay the same, who knows. But these are the new models. They are a diorama piece, and you don't get both, you get to choose one. So you can either choose the Necromancer or the Spirit Seer. Stunning models. But I don't collect Eldari, so the Spirit Seer doesn't work for me, and I don't collect Soulblight Gravelords. And while I really like that Necromancer pose, and we talked about that in their own reveal videos, I'll probably link that at the end of this video. They are commemorative miniatures, they're not necessarily for use on the gaming table, and honestly, if an opponent brought these and said, I'm using this, it's the wrong base size, I wouldn't have a problem with it, honestly. It's one model, I wouldn't care. I don't play in tournaments. You probably can't use them in tournaments unless you rebase them. I have an idea of a use for the Necromancer for something. I think I said that in the preview of these, or the reveal of these. And the Necromancer is the one that I would select if I was going to. But neither of these models are for any armies that I'm looking to do or currently do. So that's a bit of a downside. Last year it was, well, in fact we'll talk about last year, shall we? I picked up the Marshal and Squire because at some point I would like to do a Cities of Sigmar army, have a small force, something that my Dark Oath can stomp. And I just really liked these models. The other one, the Inquisitor and the weird Xenomorph styled beatbox thing, the Inquisitor was stunning. Absolutely stunning, but the rest of it I wasn't really sure of. The thing with this is, if you want both miniatures, you can get one for free, you can buy the other one. So it's not like you're locked out. And as an annual subscriber, you get to pick your miniature a month after your renewal. If you're a monthly subscriber, you have to wait the full 12 months. But let's associate a value of £26, knock that off the £50 that it is to renew for the year, which is what I would be doing. We're looking to fill 24 quid with everything else. Do I think these models are worth the £26 price point? I think those two are, absolutely. Do I think the new ones are? Depends how much use you'll find out of them. I'm trying to look at this as an average hobbyist. I am someone who just enjoys the game, has armies, collects paints. I'm not looking at this as someone who also has a channel and can potentially make videos about some of this stuff. I'm taking that aspect out of this completely, and I'm trying to look at this as a cold light of day, financial versus the benefits of. Just so we're all on the same page. I really like these models. I have the box, I think it's in the spare room. Still need to build them because I haven't quite started a Cities of Sigmar army. I'm waiting to see what they do with their new battle tome for AOS 4. Hopefully it'll be out next year. We've got a few teasers for it, so that's good and exciting. But the miniatures is a completely personal thing. You might like them, you might not. You might really want one of these or both of these miniatures. They might not interest you. If none of these miniatures interest you, you've got to make up £26, £27, whatever. You've got to take that value into account for subscribing for the year. If you're subscribing monthly, it's an even harder choice if you don't want the miniature. So if you're not interested in the animation, you're not interested in the miniature, you're probably not looking at Warhammer Plus. But really nice miniatures. No, don't want to take away from the artist who sculpted it and the designers. Beautiful. Not necessarily for me. But nice. The apps. I use them a lot. I'm constantly in the 40k app building Space Wolves. I have just picked up the Votan Codex, which maybe we'll do a video on next week, hopefully. I just want to run through it, get my head around some of the stuff, then we'll take a look at that. But I use this a lot. The problem I have is I have maybe 4 or 5 codexes for 40k 10th. And while you have access to the core rules, you have access to all the erratas, all the changes, all of the combat patrol stuff, I believe is in the app. All of that is useful. You don't actually need Warhammer TV Plus to get those features. All of that is free regardless. Really, the big thing that you get here is being able to build more than one army, which I do all the time. I have about 6 armies built, just messing around with different things. I like to have different variations of 1000-point space wolves, just to get ideas and things. So the app for me, and it's the same idea with the Sigmar one, it's useful as a free app. If you don't want to pay for it, you are not going to have all of the features. I honestly couldn't tell you which features, because as soon as I realized that the apps were going to be locked behind, and I was using the apps quite a lot, that's one of the reasons why I subscribed last year. All the spearhead stuff is in there, I believe, all the erratas, all the core rules stuff, so if you've got any rules questions or anything, you can quickly look it up on here. I think it's a great resource for doing that. And I like the layout. Is it perfect? No. But of all of the apps I think that Games Workshop do, these two, probably the AOS one over the 40k one, but they're the most useful and they're the best functionality of all the apps that they have, I think. So it's a pro, the apps, getting access to the apps, and alright, you've still got to buy the codexes, the battle tomes, you've still got to unlock the content. As stupid as I think that is, I would still be buying those books. I would still be buying the codexes for the lore, for the paint guides, or the rules. So it is just supplementing, giving me that digital access. Where the negative comes in, I believe with the free app, you can still input the code and you would get access to all of the rules from that codex that you've bought, but you can still only build one army. This is a conversation for the future of 40k, AOS, whatever, and it might even be a video in its own right down the line, but the apps need a massive overhaul, and we need to move into that free digital rules mindset. We need to modernize. That's not a conversation for this video. For what they are, I get benefit out of these for having the subscription. And I guess that's the biggest takeaway for right now. Again, your usage will probably vary, but that's where I am with them. Animations. We have a whole host of animations on there. From a lot of 40k, there is a little bit of Age of Sigmar. Sigmar's Toll it just released yesterday, the first episode. No idea when episode 2 comes out, and that's part of my problem with the animations. This is the first fully 3D CGI animation for the Mortal Realms. It takes place after the incredible launch trailer for Age of Sigmar 4th. The biggest criticism I have for any of these animations is that it is using the products as moving pieces. Think Toy Story but with Warhammer. It's not. That's a very rough description, but they are taking guy in the middle, the Night Quester model. He has a model, he was in the launch box. They have basically taken that sculpt, that paint scheme, and turned it into a moving animated character for this series. Maybe that's what Warhammer should do. Maybe that's how they should be promoting their miniatures. But then why is all this locked behind a paywall? That aside, and that's something that I always see and I can't not see it. That aside, I thought Sigmar's Toll was really good. I'm looking forward to episode 2. If I didn't subscribe, would this be one of those that would make me want to subscribe? Probably not. I think you would need some really special animations, and we don't know what's coming. But I think you would need some big stuff, and more than just a couple a year to really justify subscribing for the animation. But I've done a little bit of digging around, and I went through the Warhammer TV website, which is terrible, by the way. And I went through a collection of the articles as far back as I could go for Warhammer Plus and some of the Sunday previews. By my estimation, there have been 11 new animated episodes in year 4. So in the 12 months I've been subscribed, that's 11 episodes across 4 different shows. Black Talon got 3 for season 2. We're still waiting for the next half of season 2, which is really annoying me. Hammer and Bolter got 1 episode and it was fine. Kill Lupercal got 3 episodes. They were very spread out. The Tithes got 3 episodes. Again, they were quite spread out. So, Tithes 40k, Kill Lupercal, Horus Heresy, Hammer and Bolter was a 40k one, Black Talon and Sigmar's Toll are all Age of Sigmar. Not a lot else, although they have branched into Horus Heresy with Kill Lupercal. But it is focused solely on, as you can see here, 40k. Hammer and Bolter only got 1 episode, being their probably longest running series. I think that's quite poor. I would have liked to have seen more. That's not even 1 new animation episode a month. I don't think that that's great, in all honesty. In fact, I think that's really poor. They should be dropping at least 2 animated episodes, be it CGI, be it cartoon, whatever. They should be doing 2 a month. That should be the bare minimum. I don't know how much these cost. I don't know how long they take to do. But there have been months where there hasn't been any animated episodes. And then suddenly there's a few drop and then there's months without, right? So they need to figure that out. They need to balance it and they need to up the animations. That said, Black Talon Season 1 and Season 2 Part 1, excellent. Prior Nexus, excellent. Tithes, really good. Hammer and Bolter, a little bit wonky in places, but some of the episodes have been really, really good. I haven't watched Interrogator. I did enjoy Iron Within and The Exodite. We also have Astartes on there. I think it's still available on YouTube or through Wacom, so you can access it for free. But Astartes is just a great watch, isn't it? Wonderful. And the Deathwatch vignette that came out last year is also on part of their animations, but Warhammer Plus. Sigmar's Toll, as I say, I'm interested in. We'll see where it goes. Is it worth subscribing just for potentially another 2 episodes of Sigmar's Toll? 3 episodes of Black Talon? And then we have, judging by last year, probably 7 other episodes of some other animation. Is that worth it? I don't think it's enough to justify, in all honesty. And I know that £50 a month, when you break that down monthly, that's a lot less than Netflix. There's a hell of a lot less content. They also have their own shows with their sort of Warhammer TV presenters, Nick and Sai. Alex does a few things. I think Alex does Lore Masters. Let's break down the approximate and then we'll run through my thoughts on these. But this isn't going to sell anybody on Warhammer Plus, I don't think. So, approximately through year 4, in the last 12-13 months of Warhammer TV Plus, there have been 28 new episodes of hobby shows, 30 plus episodes of gaming shows. I have missed off battle reports because I can't tell how it's all filtered and how it displays all the battle reports. I would have to spend days trying to figure out what dropped on what date because it's just a jumble. But there have been quite a few and that bumps that number up. But at least 30 new episodes. And gaming, they class Battle Report, Victory Pointers, Battle Report. Surprisingly, that breakdown of Battle Report, which is an utterly pointless show, I've always said that. I haven't watched it. All of those episodes have disappeared. What does that tell you? The top row, how we roll, all of that stuff is counted as gaming. There's some interesting stuff in there, but not much that I would actually watch. I have watched some of the battle reports. You can find battle reports posted weekly by a whole host of incredible channels on YouTube to watch for free. If you want more battle reports, you can subscribe to those channels. You can do your YouTube membership, or they have their own individual streaming platforms. Honestly, the quality of the Warhammer battle reports is up there, and they're using stunning miniatures. They have quite nice battlefields, but they're not the best. I think there's better on YouTube. So that's a negative. And then everything else in there, it's very rare that I would dip in and watch anything. We have the hobby stuff below, so Ultimate Paint Off, the Mech Boys Workshop, Scrap Demon, Painting Desk, Sit Down Masterclass. This isn't stuff that I'm that interested in. I've watched a couple of Scrap Demons. I enjoy kit bashing. It's not a great watch. It's fine, and I haven't seen anybody else doing anything like it on YouTube, so this stuff is definitely a bit more individual. Citadel Masterclass, Painting Desk, it's all really interesting stuff. I'm not someone who would sit and watch paint tutorials, although I do need to get better at painting. This would be a really nice resource. Very useful, not something that I personally have utilised. Let me put it that way. But I think it's fair to say there is quite a number of new episodes there. Throughout a 12-month period, that is over 100, and that's approximately, and that's less than there probably is, over 100 new episodes. I think that's a decent output. I just think that they need to hone in on the better stuff, maybe up the quality a touch, and maybe not make so much random crap and focus in on every week should be a Citadel Masterclass, and every week should be a battle report, and then you have something else dropping with them. If they want to do 3 week, you have a victory pointers 1 week, and then next week it's a how we roll, and then we have an ultimate paint off once a month kind of thing. I think that they're still experimenting with content. The problem is they're moving into year 5. They've had 5 years to figure this out. 5 years to see what sticks. For me, this side of it isn't really working. The vault. The thing that I found today. I may have seen it previously, but I don't remember seeing it. As you can see, there's a whole host of things. There's older white dwarfs, there's Flyers of the Dark Millennium, just a random book from aeons ago. Imperial Armor, that's a selection of them, as well as the Psychic Awakening. From what I can tell, all of those books are on there. Warhammer Visions is something I've never heard of, but that is it looks like just a white dwarf companion that is focused on certain models and designs and things. Might be interesting, I'll have a look at it. The problem with this, and they're all PDFs, they're all just through a website, there's no app to view it on your phone, you've got to do everything through a web browser. The display you can't filter through, so if you just wanted white dwarfs, if you just wanted Imperial Armor, the whole thing is presented in just a naff, unfriendly, unusable way. And that's something that I have a huge criticism with Warhammer TV in general. I think that they need to up their game in presentation. The web browser needs a complete redesign. They actually need a mobile phone app that lets you access all of this stuff in one place instead of having a Vaults website, Warhammer TV for your animations. Warhammer Plus doesn't even take you... If you put in Warhammer Plus, you just get a web page telling you to subscribe. You don't actually get Warhammer Plus animations. You've got to go to warhammertv.com to get those animations and then sign in. It's so messy, so just confusing and poorly done, and the Vaults web browser was just the absolute epitome of that. Really useful stuff, could be a fantastic addition. I love that they're preserving this lore. Can they maybe try and curate it a bit better? Who knows? It feels very half-assed. I've just realised all of the stuff I've chosen was added around 2021, 2022. There is newer stuff on there. Some of the White Dwarfs from 2023 are on there. It looks like with White Dwarf they are 18 months behind, so I think the latest was March 2023. We're now in September 2025. And it isn't every White Dwarf, it isn't everything. They need to get everything uploaded. Even if there is that 18-month, 12-month break between, so that your subscriptions and things, your campaign books, 3 years for your edition books, maybe. They just need to be quicker about it, and it can't be that hard, can it? If they have White Dwarfs from almost 20 years ago, and some are probably going back further, just upload everything that you've got. Don't wait. Don't release a little bit at a time. Just put as much on there as you can. Make it a great resource for Warhammer fans. Then it would be worth it. I've never read the Psychic Awakening stuff. I've never gone through any of the Imperial Armor stuff. But this is only the lore. There's no rules, because the rules are out of date anyway. I think the scenarios have all gone as well, which is a shame. But as someone who's interested in the lore, I think that this is really interesting. I would also argue that you can find people covering this stuff on YouTube in videos. So, while I like the Vault, and I would read this stuff, now I know where it is, it's probably not that exciting for the majority of people. But it's a nice extra. So, pros and cons. The biggest pro for me is the Warhammer apps. I use them quite a lot. They're not the best out there, but for me, it works. So that is really the big pro. The second one is the animations. I am waiting for Black Talon Season 2.2. I have no idea why it's taken all summer for them to release them. If you have something, release all 6 episodes in one blob. Like, just maybe one a week, maybe one every 2 weeks. I think that would probably be fair, but we need one new animation every 2 weeks. The miniatures are very nice, as we've said. And now I've found it, the Vault is something that I would use. There's not a whole host of content on there. While there looks like there's quite a lot, there probably isn't. And it probably wouldn't take too long to run through all of it. So, while it's useful, there isn't 12 months worth of stuff on there, and we are 4 years in. The cons, TV shows, they're not really for me. As we've said, almost, well, over 100 episodes. But it's stuff that you can find the same, if not better quality on YouTube for free. And you probably, if you're, let's talk about me, let's focus on me, because this is my thoughts on Warhammer TV Plus. I'm a big fan of Tabletop Tactics. I think their battle reports are stunning. I like all the personalities on there. I think they have just a great connection between them. You can see the excitement, the enthusiasm. Sometimes it is a bit much, but watching the battle reports, especially when it's Beard and Spider, I just love, you can tell that these guys have been friends for ages. I love their stuff. I think their battle reports are the best, some of the best, if not the best, on YouTube. Play on Tabletop is another one. Again, great personality. Obviously friends who have come together through Warhammer. Amazing models, amazing battlefield, amazing battle reports, and they focus on the narratives. That stuff I can watch, one a week from each of those. That's my battle report fill. I don't need any of the other shows that are behind this subscription wall to be able to enjoy that stuff. So I'm not getting any value out of the TV show. The lack of animations, I feel like we've talked about that. 11 new animations, approximately. There may be more, but not many more. But let's say, benefit of the doubt, one animation episode every month isn't good enough. The miniatures, specifically the Year 5 miniatures, they're not for any of my armies. And I would struggle to find a use for one of them completely. The other one, potentially I'd find a use for. They are gorgeous, but for me, they're not that exciting. Merch discounts, I didn't even know that was a thing, and I have never bought anything from Warhammer merch or whatever the website was, and I probably wouldn't, to be honest. I don't tend to rep that kind of stuff. If I'm going to wear anybody's brand on my t-shirt, on a cap, gonna be my channel. That's just how I am. I may as well advertise, right? So if you are going to be ordering stuff from there, if there is stuff that you want on their monthly discounts, you will earn the money back that you pay for the subscription if you buy a lot, or even just a little bit. It helps counteract that £50 for the year. I don't think that's bad for people that use it. I don't think I'm ever going to use it, so it's pointless, right? So now we're getting a bit picky. The lack of a dedicated Xbox app and a poor website. So the Warhammer TV website, it's bare bones. It's just bare bones. They could do so much better. It doesn't play great on the app on the phone. I run mine through an Xbox. My Xbox One is plugged into my TV, and I have to run Warhammer TV Plus, whatever we're calling it. I have to run it through a browser on the console, but it doesn't show the videos properly. Half the time the quality is just crap. Even when you turn the quality up, it looks crap. On the TV, on the phone it's fine, on the smaller screen. The navigation of a web browser for watching videos, it's just atrocious. Sony may have one, there might be one on the PS5. I couldn't see one on the Xbox Series X. They need to address this stuff. They need to make this content easier to access on TVs, because you have these stunning animations. Why not let people fully engage in them on the big screen? So that's a personal con, but that is a con. I think accessibility and usability of their websites is a huge problem that they have across the board. We all know how terrible their new shopping website is. Warhammer.com? It's not it, is it? Let's be honest. The sixth con, again personal to me, the lack of the vault content. I've just found it and I'm already criticising it. I'm gonna be honest, it could be an incredibly useful feature. You could get a lot out of it. But why isn't there everything from 2023 backwards that they have digitally? Why isn't it all on there right now? And why don't they just dump 12 months? Like, we've hit 2025, right? All of 2024's White Dwarfs have gone up. All of the campaign books are up. Why don't they have Black Library books on there? Or even excerpts of Black Library books? Just something, anything to give you more content. So, while I think it's useful, there isn't enough content on there, certainly for a website that has been up for 4 years at this point. I could criticise all the other stuff, but honestly, it's kind of that issue, that website issue, just backs up all of that stuff. So you can see that there's more cons than pros. So, the verdict. Do I think it's worth subscribing to Warhammer Plus for another year at the yearly fee of $49.99? I am part of the problem. Reluctantly, I think it is, and I'll break down why. They're going to get another year from me. This might be something that we reassess and we have a review of year 5. Is it worth year 6? We see what the miniatures are, and this time next year we do another video. I am going to subscribe again, going off the basis that it's $49.99. The price that they put on the model is character level price, so £26. That will go up. I don't think anybody's surprised. Come the 5th of October, that price will go up. 6th of October, whenever it was. But if you take that away, and I will use the Necromancer model for something that I'm working on in the background. It's a great model for D&D or something like that, let alone anything else. So that model, 26 quid, that leaves £24, right? For the year. I get £2 a month use out of both of those apps. That's the extra 24 quid. with nothing else alone, before you even look at the TV shows that I might not watch, but you know, maybe there'll be something that I will watch and enjoy. The Questing Knights has been pretty good, actually. I've watched a few of them. I'll give them that. They've been fun. One animation, hopefully more, but one animation a month. Before you take into account of any of that cost, between the apps and the model, I will argue quite happily that I am getting that £50 a year use out of those features. All of the extra stuff is just on top. The vault is a nice on top. The animations are getting much better. Hopefully there's going to be more. Astartes 2 is soon, isn't it? In fact, let's check when Astartes 2 is due out. So Astartes 2 is set to land in 2026. Hopefully it's between now and September 2026. But if they are going to lock Astartes 2 behind this paywall, I already think it's worth it to have access to it. I think that's going to be incredible, and I think that is just going to show everybody how to do these animations. The secret level stuff was amazing. I think the secret level animation was the best Warhammer 40k animation that we have ever had. I would put it just above Astartes. But Astartes laid the groundwork for all of this. Astartes is one of the single best pieces of fan-made... No, it is the best piece of fan-made animated content for any universe, for any franchise. It is the benchmark that very few people hit. Even the proper studio-made stuff very rarely hits that level of quality, of detail, of just complete and utter understanding. Astartes 2 is something that I would subscribe for. Bearing in mind you get a model for 26 quid that you may or may not use. You can always sell it if you don't want it. So you will get some money back there if you want to. And the apps. And Astartes 2. It's still reluctantly, but it's a little bit less reluctantly. They'll get another year from me. But that's my take. You could have a completely different idea on it. I'd love to know your thoughts and how stupid I am to subscribe to this. Or if you're subscribed, what is the reason that keeps you subscribed, or that you subscribe to Warhammer Plus for Year 5? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, please do leave a like. Don't be too mean in the comments. Alright, I'm giving you my breakdown. I've justified this. I'm spending my money, not yours, okay? Don't be too cruel. But if you enjoyed it, do all the YouTubey stuff. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.